The girl looked too young to be a second-year law student, and her clothing, jeans and a baggy sweater, were way too casual for an interview. Her hands were not clutching a fancy-looking portfolio full of writing samples and extra copies of her resume. Her hair, long and brown, fell in messy ringlets around her face and down her back, a far cry from the carefully controlled styles of most interviewees. She seemed to hurry into the room and close the door with jerky, nervous energy. It wasn't the nervousness of a typical Ivy League law student seeking a summer position. Hers was a different kind of nervousness, a more raw, desperate kind. Jessie Black glanced down at the resume on the table in front of her. Her first interviewee was not due for another 10 minutes. "Are you Madeline Grady? Are you a prosecutor?" Jessie watched the girl twist her fingers together in another display of nervousness. Definitely not Madeline Grady. Probably not a student at all. But if not, why was she here? Who would want to sneak into the Penn Law fall on-campus recruiting other than an aspiring lawyer? "Why don't you sit down?" The girl stepped further into the room and closed the door behind her, seeming to notice her surroundings for the first time. The interview room was small and austere, with plain eggshell white walls, stiff-backed swivel chairs, and rectangular table. No prints on the walls, no windows. The table was bare, except for a manila folder in which Jessie had brought copies of the resumes of the students she would be meeting today, and next to the folder, her cup of coffee. Jessie had already gulped it down, but the coffee smell lingered in the air. The girl sat in one of the swivel chairs. As out of place as she looked here, she also seemed strangely familiar. Had Jessie seen her somewhere before? "Are you okay?" Jessie said. "Why do you ask that?" The girl's eyes flashed. They were green eyes, a shade not much different than her own. "You just seem like you're in the wrong place. Is there someone I can call for you?" "I'm in the right place. I mean, if you're a prosecutor. It said on the directory that the DA's office is doing interviews in this room." "Yes, I'm an assistant district attorney, Jessica Black." She hesitated, then added, "You can call me Jessie." "Good." The girl tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "What's your name?" The longer Jessie watched the girl, the stronger her instinct became that she had seen her before. But she couldn't recall where or when that had been. "Carrie." "Well, Carrie, how can I help you? We don't have much time before my first interview." Jessie glanced at her watch. Madeline Grady was scheduled to arrive in 7 minutes, and she had no doubt the woman would be prompt. In her experience, Penn Law students tended to take their careers very seriously. Jessie certainly had when she'd been a student here.